Hi everyone, I'm Kelly O'Horo, and this is Adaptable, Behavior Explained. Hi everybody, I'm Kelly O'Horo and welcome to Adaptable. Today we're going to talk a little bit about something pretty personal to me, and it hit me in a way that I didn't expect for it to. I turned 50, and the morning of my 50th birthday, I woke up in tears. Honestly, it was so strange, and it was not what I expected, because I had this very profound reflective opportunity, and I was with some of my dearest friends when we were celebrating my birthday. And so I want to share with you some of the personal revelations that I experienced about hitting 50. So if you are also 50 and or older than that, and you've started to reflect on the length of life and how it's so finite, then this show is for you. So on this show, we talk a lot about growth, healing, and adaptation, and what it takes to evolve as a person. And this birthday really hit me in a way, again, like very surprisingly. I am an EMDR therapist. I'm a consultant and a trainer, but I'm also a mom and grandmother of 5, and all of those really profound thoughts that happen around a birthday like that hit me like a ton of bricks. And so if you have ever felt the weight of a time in your life in a new way, or questioned whether your living actually matches your values and what matters to you, or if you've ever noticed yourself kind of thinking about something bigger, exciting, or grieving something that's already happened, or faced a new challenge with a little bit of terror, then this episode will resonate for you. Hitting middle age doesn't just reveal the truth, it asks you to really reflect, because, for most of us, we start to think about being more than halfway through our life. So I noticed that time hit me in a way that wasn't as abstract. There's a shift that happens, and I don't think we talk about it enough. When you're younger, time feels expandable. It feels like you can do anything. It feels like you can set goals down the line and you've got plenty of time to achieve them. And there's always more later when you're younger. And at 50, that feeling really changed for me. And I've talked with other friends who have hit that milestone, and that's a pretty shared belief. It wasn't a hopeless way, but it was kind of a clarifying way. And you start to feel your life as something real, it's finite, and it's happening right now, and it does have an end point. And you also start thinking about the quality of your life and how much more time, even if you do live, let's say I'm lucky enough to live into my 80s or 90s or even 100, which I hope, the quality of life, my energy, my health, all of those things are likely going to change, as for everyone as we age. And I noticed something as I was reflecting on that. I started to realize that I'm less willing to give my time and energy to things that don't feel true to my values, true to what I want to be doing while I'm here in the remaining time on this earth. And one of the main things that I started to reflect on was stress. And for a long time, I thought stress came from being busy, from being overcommitted, for having too much on my plate. But what I've come to understand, both personally and professionally, is that stress is often a signal of misalignment. It's there when you're living according to expectations, obligations, instead of truth, or instead of what you're really here for. And when you're carrying roles that no longer fit, you really start to reflect on that. When you're investing energy in things that don't reflect your values. And at this stage of life, your system stops letting you ignore that. You feel it more. There's this internal noise that yells at you about your cognitive dissonance if you're not living in line with what really matters to you. Because I think somewhere inside of you, you know that you don't have endless time to live out of alignment. You're kind of forced to reflect on it, because if you don't take agency about how you're spending your minutes, no one else will do it for you. And so as I was thinking on my birthday, like the shift from building, which is where I feel like I've been, to meaning making, and to just being more present, being in more connection, being more okay with simplicity. And I just noticed that really started yelling at me as I've been kind of coming upon that birthday. So for a lot of years, my life was about building. It was about building a therapy practice, which, Infinite Healing and Wellness is a collaborative group practice. And, as a result of owning that, there's systems and structure and organization, creating stability for my family, is also part of that, both emotionally and financially. And I'm proud of that work, but something has definitely shifted in me. And it's not that the work isn't meaningful, it's that the intention behind it is evolving. And as a mentor and owner, I can feel myself wanting to lift others up into leadership roles and allow for people to have their own evolution of their professional development. I'm asking different questions now, like how do I use what I've learned to teach and help others grow? How do I expand from like a one-to-one impact as a therapist, and how do I share instead of just holding on to what I've learned and what how I've grown? And so as I've reflected on 50 and how I want to spend the remaining years of my career, I have noticed a pull towards stepping into teaching in a bigger way. And one of the biggest truths that I've had to face is I do feel called to teach. And I've always said that the therapy room is the classroom for life's emotions and how do we show up in relationships. And as a therapist, we're teaching our clients those things if they weren't taught them well. And this podcast has been another way that I've really felt called to reach out and teach. And I also started a company called Infinite Learning, where I'm teaching EMDR therapy, and we're teaching other concepts of emotional and behavioral health for people to better explore their development and their adaptability. And so creating spaces where what I've learned doesn't just stay with me, but it's able to be more of a full force multiplier has been really important to me because it helps to reach people at scale. And so that feels really aligned with who I've become and how I've grown. But it's pretty uncomfortable because, again, just like starting a new business, there's risk. What if people don't like what I'm doing? What if it doesn't reach, the scale that I'm hoping? What if, it puts me in a vulnerable position because teaching at this level requires a lot of visibility and judgment. But the good parts about that are clarity and expansion and the opportunity to really check myself and really dig in and be more honest with myself. And there's a part of me that's really scared about this shift in perspective. And there's a part of me that's really excited to continue to expand at this level. And I also have a little something I want to share. We're not going to share today the whole thing, but there's something much bigger that I'm working on. And at the same time, my husband and I are building something that's going to scale for lots of people, lots of therapists, lots of people in this industry. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is just yet, not because I'm trying to be sneaky or coy, but because it's still becoming, it's not fully ready for sharing, and it deserves a really profound introduction when the time is right. But what I will tell you is it brings together everything that I've learned in 16 years as a therapist, as a teacher, as a supervisor, as a mentor, and as a business owner and practice owner. It's the kind of project that feels equal parts exciting and equal parts terrifying. And it's one of the biggest undertakings of my life. There are moments that I feel so excited and so alive because I know that I'm following what I need to be doing. And with that comes a lot of fear. Because who am I? Like, what makes me think I'm the one to be doing this thing? And I know I'm not alone, because if you've ever done something really big and you've had that feeling, there's that space between like your calling and then the capacity that you have. And so many of us get stuck in that space because of fear of being paralyzed. So when it's ready, you'll be the first to know. But for now, I just wanted you to hear that there's something really exciting coming. So as it relates to this growth opportunity, don't wait till you're ready, because we really never are. It's like being pregnant. You're never ready to have kids. You're never ready to take on being a parent, but you've got to do it because time is finite. So if I've learned anything in 50 years, it's this. You don't step into big things because you're ready. You step into them because they're aligned. And readiness comes along the way. Confidence comes like faking it till you make it. Clarity comes after that. And sometimes the only thing you have is the start, the beginning. And this feels true, and I can't ignore it anymore. So there's this responsibility I feel to pay it forward. And this part feels really important to me as it relates to this show. Because what I'm realizing is there's a shift from working hard to build a life to using what you've built to give back. That the hardworking years don't go away, but they start to merge with something else, like your experience, your perspective, your wisdom. And with that comes responsibility, not obligation. It's this empowering feeling to share, to teach, to make things available for others, to continue from what you've learned behind you to say, here's what I've learned, take it, use it, build on it, and do better. And that's what infinite learning in this next adventure that I'll share with you represents to me. And that's also what this podcast is becoming. And that's what the next chapter is rooted in. So if you're in a season or just approaching it where there's transition or change because of aging or because of a new journey, because you're getting married or you're getting divorced or you're having children or any other season where tremendous transition is upon you, think about your timing, where it's going. Does it reflect what matters to you? Not just what looks good, not just what's expected of you, but what actually feels authentic and congruent for you in your life and your life's purpose. What are you being called toward that you're hesitating to step into? Not because you don't want to, but because it feels too big or too scary or too overwhelming. What have you learned in your life that someone coming behind you needs? Don't wait until you feel like an expert to pass it on. So if this resonated with you, please subscribe and stay close because the something big that I mentioned is coming, and when it's ready, I'll be sharing it here first. And if you're standing at the edge of something that excites you or terrifies you, tell me in the comments. Talk to us about what you're being called toward. I read those comments. And until next time, don't forget to lead with love. It'll never steer you wrong.